Uh, hey everybody, I am here with Connor Steinbrook, and I'm making a big announcement today on social media. We tried to pull this off on Facebook Live earlier. Sorry, a little bit technically challenged, but I'm making the announcement today that I've officially moved over to EXP Realty, and man, I tell you what, I know some of you know about this, but not everybody does. So I wanted to make that official announcement and also talk about why I've made this change in my business. And I'll tell you, this is something that completely blindsided me. It's not something that I saw coming at all. You know, for those of you know me, know I've had a license for almost 10 years, but I actually deactivated a while back, and I really never used my license just for my own stuff. And I never, you know, honestly, I was never, the realtor model was never in alignment with helping me honestly go out and create the life and the business and the goals that I wanted to accomplish until this man that you're looking at on the other side of the screen.
Hey.
I'll tell the quick story. Is introduced Connor. You know, Connor, I knew of Connor through social media and through Facebook and some of his Investor Army podcasts and stuff like that. And I went up to speak at a Quest event in Dallas, and one of the girls came up and she's like, "Hey, Connor's gonna get up and speak before you. He's sponsoring the lunch." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. He's probably gonna raise private money. He's in a room full of lenders, and there's other real estate investors here." And then you got up and started talking about EXP Realty and about, you know, cloud-based brokerage model and how it's just disrupting the industry and revenue sharing, passive income, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, why in the hell is Connor talking about EXP Realty? Because I didn't know what it was at the time. And since that time, obviously a lot's changed for me. But Connor, introduce yourself to everybody as well.
Right, guys. So some of y'all know who I am. Some of y'all don't. I'm an entrepreneur out of Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. I run a real estate acquisition company. We're on social media right now. I built a YouTube channel called Investor Army. We have Investor Army podcast. Brant's been on there. Some of y'all know Mitch Steven. A lot of the big guys that y'all probably follow, we've had them on there. And I mean, I've been in the business quite some time. You know, we've done everything in the single family world except really build houses. And just like Brant, EXP kind of, you know, came out of nowhere and kind of hit me like a tsunami. And, you know, the big thing that resonates with a lot of entrepreneurs like us is multiple streams of income. And the traditional brokerage model that we've always seen, it's a great model, but it's all based on a franchise brick and mortar model and usually one income stream commission-based model. And what does that mean? It means the agents out there working really, really hard to make that franchise owner and that company wealthy, essentially. So what Glenn Sanford's done with EXP Realty is he's created an agent-focused, agent-centric model instead of a franchise-focused model. So I like to say, you know, these other big companies out there, they're great. They're always going to be better than EXP, but for the franchise owner, since we're a non-franchise company and we're focused around the agent success, which we'll talk about, we have 3 different income streams. Right now, personally, guys, I've looked at just about every brokerage model in the country, and I haven't found anything. When we put math to paper, pen to paper, we take emotion and feeling out of it, and let's look at facts, logic, reason, and mathematics. There's just nothing that I've seen anything like this. And so that's why I moved my license over here. It's been a huge blessing for us. I now run a real estate team that operates in 14, going into 15 states. And I did this in 8 months due to the technology that this company allows us to have, the ability to build teams across the country. It's been an amazing run. And we're just grateful that Brant came in and saw it. Yeah. And so, yeah, let's dig in. Let's talk about it. Let's knock it out. Let's show these people why it's such a great opportunity for them, because a lot of agents are stuck on that hamster wheel, and we now have a path for them to really get that freedom that they want.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And it was breaking up a little bit at the end, but you're right, man. Like what drew me to it was, of course, you know, when I was first being drawn into real estate, it was all about passive income. It was about that lifestyle and going out. You know, I knew that if I could go out and build it, that you know, I could create like that life of this passive income, all this kind of stuff that we dream about. And that's one of the reasons why I was never attracted to the realtor model side of the business, honestly. It was just transactional income, right? And that's what I saw and I've seen over the years, is that there's a lot of really hardworking, very smart agents, but they get caught in that hamster wheel, right? Where they're just constantly working hard for transactional income over and over and over again. And unfortunately, like they may be on that hamster wheel for decades and decades and decades and never get off. And that's what attracted me so much to EXP when I started hearing you talk about it and I started reading about it. Was just what Glenn Sanford has created is, it has to be one of the most genius business models that I've ever seen. And I started learning more about it, and I started, talking to friends about it, friends who are really, really successful business owners and entrepreneurs, and basically giving them the invitation. I'm like, hey, what I want you to do, I'm going to show you this EXP business model, this completely cloud-based business model. And what I want you to do is poke as many holes in it as you can.
They can't.
They can't, and nor could I. You know, when I sat down and looked at it all, I was sitting there with my wife, and we went over it all. For me, it wasn't a matter of like, should I do it? It was just a matter of like, where are the holes? Like, why shouldn't I do this? Because it's given me everything that I wanted to get into real estate for. It's given me not only it's a bolt-on business, really. For some of you guys, I know focus is so important in this business, right? And just as being as an entrepreneur in general. But to me, the really successful entrepreneurs and business owners have multiple income streams. And the most successful ones I've seen, they're typically income streams right from the same field.
Right.
And that's the cool thing about it for real estate investors or agents. This doesn't take you away from what you're already doing. It adds on to it. It is a bolt-on business that you can begin generating wealth through stock options with the company, but also additional passive revenue each and every month, man. And I make no bones about it. Like, I love everything about EXP, but that's been one of the big things that's drawn me to the company, that we're able to build teams and give, but also at the same time, it sounds cliche, like helping other people, but that's what we're doing, man. Like, you're right. Whenever I go into the EXP world and to some of the private groups that we have, you're hearing these agents talk about how EXP is changing their lives.
Changed my life.
and it is because, you and I, we have the skill sets. We have rental properties. We can, we've built passive income. We already have that, but we know the rental property model is not the most passive model in the world. It's actually a very active model, but we've done it. Owner financing properties. We flip properties, make $30,000 or $40,000, $50,000. I know that you and I both have businesses that we buy and sell 50 to 100 houses a year. So I've had people ask me, like, what, some people I know that I'm moving into doing EXP as well, and they're like, why are you doing that? And I'll let you take over a little bit and share with what you're seeing, but it's because with essentially a no risk business model, we're able to outproduce me from already. What I'm seeing is I'm going to be able to vastly outproduce income wise what I was ever to do with my rental portfolio. And so for me, it was a no-brainer for me.
I mean, that's what you keep hearing, no-brainer. That's the two words that keep coming up, and it is, because when you guys slow down to look at it, we'll show it to you here in a second, but I want to bring up something that's very important, what Brant said there. So unless you're Elon Musk, right, you can't really tap into multiple different markets when building different businesses. So you have to create symbiotic cash flow income streams into the same business model. So you can have your EXP business, you can invest in real estate, you can do things within the real estate world, maybe even have a mortgage license. But if you're trying to start a real estate company and a restaurant and a laundromat and different industry, guys, that's going to be very, very tough for you to achieve. Now, the other thing is multiple streams of income are very, very important. So let me quickly run through kind of how I got here, because it's going to resonate with a lot of y'all. Because if you have one income stream right now, guys, you are at an incredible risk. You are one bad day away from having your life fall apart. And that's what happened to me. That's what happened to Rob Flick and a lot of individuals that you're going to meet in entrepreneurship. So I was a very high transactional earner for about 10 years, and I had to show up to make an income. I put my energy in. So when we're talking about active or transactional income, we're trading our time, energy, and resources but we're only getting paid in direct relationship to that time and energy we put in. And once you stop working, income stops coming in. And so in 2011, the industry that I was a part of disappeared overnight. And I did what most real estate agents do, which is I lived for immediate gratification for the entirety of my career to that point, which means that I spent my money as fast as I made it. And I didn't have, just like most agents, that self-discipline or that business maturity to plan for that business horizon and put money away. And there is no 401k for agents. And so what do we see, Brant? We see the very sad thing that constantly happens at the end of agents' careers, which they're not looking at down the road because they're content with living the way they are right now, going on vacations now, having a nicer car now, trying to keep up with the Joneses. But what we see is that they sell houses as they get older, energy levels drop, liabilities in life pick up, they have kids and grandchildren, they don't have the energy that they used to, and they don't want to put in those long hours when they're making that high income. And then what happens is they wake up at 75, they're still selling houses, they tell everybody they just love the business, and real estate's in their blood, and it's just the biggest lie that we see because they can't live off Social Security, they can't retire, they still have to provide an income for themselves, and they didn't have anything to live off of. They built no residual income, they didn't build up equity in anything, and they're stuck. And it's very sad, and you see that happen to so many of them. So when I hit rock bottom, I promised myself, similar to what you did, two things. I'd always have multiple streams of income, and I'd always have a residual income stream as part of that business model that I was working on. So when I saw this model and the 3 income stream model that we have a commission-based income stream. We can go sell houses, and we're on an 80-20 split. Just how agents have always run their businesses, we're real estate agents. But Glenn Sanford introduced an equity model. As y'all saw back in May, we uploaded to the NASDAQ, now the second publicly traded company as far as real estate brokerages here behind ReiMax. Very big information, or very big news. We have 5 different ways that we can acquire stock through the company, through stock awards, just doing what we normally do as agents. And then we have a really strong residual income stream, which allows agents to build teams similar to the KW profit share model. But what we're doing is called a revenue split. So if you understand business and verbiage of business, revenue is before expenses, profit is after expenses. So it's like splitting the pizza instead of slice. And so that's why a lot of agents are coming over. And the reason why so many big agents and big real estate professionals like Brant, myself, and a lot of industry leaders are coming in, it's not because they didn't like where they were at, or they had a problem with their current brokerage model. In fact, a lot of these guys are coming in and talking about how they were at some of these big box brands for 15 years and they absolutely love where they're at. But they're coming for more opportunity, not because they're leaving somewhere that they had anxiety against or some type of issue with. So that's what's actually happening. And we can kind of go through this model here and break it down, fees and kind of the income streams as far as the stock awards and how that works if you want, or if you want to add to anything I just said.
No, I would love to get into that, and also and talk about it from the investor point of view as well, where I just came from a 2-day mastermind on the West Coast for investors across the nation, and one thing that I'll tell you that I failed to really take advantage of as an investor over the years is the fact that I have had my license, but I viewed my licenses as just a way to list my properties, right? And save some money here and there. That was it, and access to the MLS. And that's a viewpoint that a lot of investors have. But I'll tell you what, I was in a mastermind not too long ago, and one of my mentors, they basically shared with me that they buy over 250 houses a year from real estate agents, right? And so they're up to over 800 houses a year, but almost 25%, more than 25% of those houses they buy from agents. And so that really got me thinking. I'm like, man, I'm really not utilizing building. I haven't built a really strong team of agents. We buy houses every year from agents, but not very, very many. And then another thing that a lot of investors do that have their license and they have a team of agents is they're able to capitalize on their ad spend. Whenever you, as real estate investors, if you're spending time, money, energy, effort, and resources for direct marketing, and you're only looking at making cash offers on your deals, you're really leaving a lot of money on the table,
right,
by walking away from listings. So we've been focusing more on that in our business, but more importantly, we're really trying to build a team of agents who understand the investment model, and we can work with them on the investment side of things, so they can grow their business through working with us, working through other investment companies when they understand that. But then at the same time, whenever I really start putting those two things together, but at the same time, I could grow a team of agents that could come onto our EXP team with this model. And it's been game changing. You know, we've already been bringing some team members on, and you just see people like, I love to coach and teach and motivate, educate, inspire, and all that kind of stuff. And that's why I love EXP too, because of what you're about to share with people. And people start to see it, man, they get fired up. They get fired up and excited about it, because it's an answer really to a lot of people's dreams, prayers, and what they've been wanting their whole life. And Glenn Sanford's just created an incredible model. And, you know, when I watched a lot of videos on Glenn too, when I was doing my research.
Amazing.
I heard him talk about, you know, like really going back to the drawing board and like building it for the agent's benefit, not the broker's benefit. That really, really resonated with me. And the more I've learned about the company, when I'm talking to agents and agents who are considering EXP, they'll ask questions, and it's almost like they're expecting negative responses from what they've seen in the past. Like, well, what about this? Well, what about that?
Right.
And well, here's what it is at EXP. This is how Glenn's structured. Like, oh, like they almost weren't expecting it, because everything is in their benefit, even little things like there's no desk fees, or that, you know, the E&O insurance is capped at $500, where other brokers will just continue to charge and bill and bill and bill. All those little things are built in. It's just kind of, it's baked into this nice little EXP cake, man. And it's like, it's pretty delicious.
Yeah, I mean, Glenn Sanders, incredible individual. It puts a lot of confidence in myself and you and all of us in the company when we see a leader like that, because if you don't have any belief in the company that you're part of, or you have any doubt in those leading your company, but when you get into this company, you see that there's a uniformity between all of us, that we know the vision, we know Glenn's vision, we respect him, and we're grateful. I mean, I guess that's all I can say is I can't believe that this exists for us as agents. We're grateful that he created something like this and everybody's winning together. But ultimately what it comes down to, Brant, is leverage. And that word, if you don't understand that, you will never succeed past being what we call a solopreneur. And so everybody knows what it's like to be a lone wolf out there trying to build a business. You wear every hat in the business. You're doing accounting, you're doing marketing, you're doing everything. You can't leverage. So we need to leverage other people's money, other people's time, technology, and what we're doing right now. And so one of the things we'll get into is the cloud-based brokerage, where we have 200 paid employees in the cloud. But I just want to talk about this real quick, because, you know, when you have agents and investors, they kind of live in the same world, and they interact and they cross paths regularly. And so, but there's kind of two different worlds, yet at the same time, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but there's a massive percentage of real estate agents that are also investors. And so a lot of y'all become agents, you work really hard, you create a high active income for yourself. But what we talked about earlier, as income goes up, so does consumption rates. So as you go from making 50 grand a year to 100 grand, 200 grand a year, you're not really saving anything, and you're basically just spending more. So you go get a nicer car, you eat nicer dinners, you go on more vacations. And so you start to realize, how am I going to retire? And so a lot of agents decide they want to move into the investing world, to create a rental portfolio, to start buying or creating notes. So let's look at what it takes just to create $300 to $500 a month net after total liabilities to own a rental property. So as you all know, right now the market's heating up, or it has been heating up for a long time. It's competitive. We compete against the marketplace, hedge funds, private equity firms, companies like Open Door, other investors. And most people are telling me, as I travel around the country, cost of acquisition or to get a house under contract or monetize lead could be anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. Some of y'all are franchised operations, and it's even more expensive than that. So then we have to have that money, take the risk of marketing, competing against the marketplace, arrange that short-term high interest rate money to close on the property. Then the contractors come in, we risk them extorting us, walking off the property, stealing from us, all the risk of contractors. Then we have to be financeable on the back end, be able to finance out, put an amortized long-term loan on it, then have property management in place, keep cash reserves, and that's all to maybe create $300 to $400 net cash flow. And so now we're able to build teams and build through our revenue share organization. If an agent comes on your team that you personally introduce the company, when they sell a house, you're going to receive 3.5% of gross commission of GCI, I guess you could say. So let's look at this right here and kind of do some basic math to show you how powerful this is. So if someone came on to your team, essentially you got to look at this, guys, as if you're a broker without a broker's license building a team. And so you have, say they sell a $400,000 house. That's going to be a $12,000 commission, but you're going to get 3.5% of that, which is $420, which is the equivalent to a rental property, right? But you don't have any leveraged debt on your shoulders. You don't have the anxiety of holding all this weight. And everybody that owns rental properties and everybody that builds up debt understands that. But we've always known understanding leveraging other people's money, leveraging banks' money. But think about that. An agent that's selling one house a month is equivalent to owning a rental property if they're selling in that price point. But here's what Rob Flick impressed upon me. Rob Flick's the #1 guy in the company. Everybody loves Rob Flick. Incredible inspiration for so many of us. And I'll never forget it. He patted me on the shoulder and said, Connor, I know you love the real estate business. I know you own a lot of properties and you understand residual income, but houses will not buy houses for you. And that was always impressed upon me. And so you guys all understand, J. Paul Getty's famous saying, you can put 100% of your effort in, or you get 1% of 100 individuals' effort. And so it comes down to leverage, right? And the elimination of risk. And so that's what was very, hit me very, very hard when he said that to me, because it just clicked. And so that was why I kind of gravitated towards business. It's just an extra ability to build residual income. And then when I found out that we could receive stock, it blew my mind, because you don't see that very often. In fact, besides ReiAction, I don't know any other companies out there. There could be, but they may be on the OTC. I'm not quite sure. Other people can maybe comment on that. But so guys, when you come into the company and you sell your first house, right now they're going to give you 35 shares of stock. And I think yesterday the stock closed at like $16. So think about that. Just doing what you're normally doing and selling houses, the company is going to award you stock. So that's why they're calling us, essentially an agent-centric company, because everybody's part of the same company and we're all equity owners together. Now, also, if you want to come in and you're a high-producing agent and you do $2.66 million in gross sales, they're going to give you another 75 shares of stock. Now, if you want to take part in it, we have an optional stock program where they essentially allow you to buy back 5% of your gross commission at a 20% discount. So 20% instant equity. So say you did a $10,000 commission, you can buy back 5% of that commission at a 20% discount. Now, this is optional. You don't have to do it, but most people are taking advantage of it. Now, maybe we want to talk about the Icon program, because this is very, very powerful, because this is allowing top agents that are at low-fee shops the ability to come in and leave there, which they never had an option to do when you kind of look at it, how I explain it here in a second, to now come into EXP and have more opportunity. So let's look at the way traditionally agents come into business. Now, this isn't how everybody follows this path, but most of them do. So when a new agent gets their license and comes in and decides to become a real estate agent, they usually go to a big box brand company, because those are the ones spending money, sponsoring the real estate schools. They're coming in and doing lunch sponsorships, and they come in, they tell them, all the same stuff. Oh, you need name recognition. Oh, you need an office. You need all these bells and whistles. So they sign up to a great company like Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker, or one of these big companies, but they're paying a high commission split. They're paying transactional fees, a commission split. They're paying into a cap. And what happens is they go through the training, the ones that make it, they start selling 10, 15, 20 houses, and they quickly realize that I can do this without the help of any handholding anymore. So they want more of their commission. So then they gravitate towards what's called a flat fee shop. So flat fee shop, guys, is where they basically just let you hold your hat there, hold your license, and most of them are between $250 and $500 a transaction. And so the way this Icon program is set up, it benefits top producing agents. And let me kind of explain how it works, because why would someone who's paying $250 a transaction look at a big company like KW or EXP or something like that that's got a $16,000 to $20,000+ cap? Why would they ever leave? Because they're seeing that gap, of $12,000 to $15,000, $20,000. Well, at EXP, we have what's called an Icon program. And so if you come in and you're doing, most people can do this in 25 to 35 transactions, depending on the price point of your market. If you sell your $2.66 million in sales, you're going to pay into the company a $16,000 cap. But after you pay into your cap, you're going to go to what's called a flat fee shop. Then we go to a $250 transaction fee per transaction. If you do 20 transactions after this point, the company's literally going to give you their $16,000 back in stock. So if you figure it takes you 30 to 35 houses to do that, you're really only paying 20 transactions by $250 or $5,000. So essentially, if you want to look at it, your cap dropped from $16,000 to $5,000. But if you did 20 transactions, how many houses did it take for you to get to your $2.66 million? So say you did say it took you 10 other houses. Now you can see that you're actually dropping your transaction fee below what would be a 250 shop. Also, you're going to get 35 shares when you sell your first house. You're going to get 75 shares when you cap out and you do your $2.66 million. And then if you're taking advantage of the equity program, if you're doing lots of different line items of transactions, you're buying back lots of different line items at 5% discount or a 20% discount. You can quickly see how basically you can come in and take advantage of all the benefits EXPS offer, 200 paid employees in the cloud, lead generation platforms like Conversion, Commissions Inc., Making It Rain. You're able to build stock in the fastest growing brokerage in U.S. history. It's just, and you're dropping your monthly transaction fee. And we were talking to a guy the other day, when we ran his numbers, once he started leveraging in these other equity models and the residual models, he was actually going to get paid to come over to sell his houses instead of he was actually going to get paid, I think it was like $100 we figured out to sell a house than to pay his $250 flat fee shop. So when these flat fee shops, these big mega agents there see this, it blows their mind. And that's why you're seeing so many come to partner up with Brant and myself and other people at EXP. So it's really, really powerful. And it's just changing lives all across the country.
Yeah. So you covered a lot, and that's
Yeah.
there's so much to talk about. And so one thing is, as business owners, I think, especially let me talk about real estate investors, because if you're really, if your goal is to make more money and create a better lifestyle, all that kind of stuff, like, you really have to put your ego at the door. You have to check your ego at the door a little bit. And so one thing that I've talked about in some of, conversations I have with real estate investors to really help them understand the opportunity here, because sometimes, maybe people aren't fully engaged, like, oh, well, I have no desire to be an agent or have my license or whatever. But I'm telling real estate investors, I'm like, hey, look, if I was sitting here, if I was just getting started, if I could go back and do it all over again, if I had the choice between owning rental property, being a landlord investor, which so many investors, they want to do that, right? Like, that's a cool and hip thing to own real estate, and I get it, and I've owned a ton. And I could only choose one, or be an agent in EXP Realty. Hands down, it is such a no-brainer. The business model is so much better. You look, whenever Connor, you held up your phone and it said $420, right? $420 would be what that agent could produce for you when they go out and sell a house. Well, think about it. So how many houses can you buy in a year? So we're all, we're all going to experience some type of bandwidth capacity issue, right, when it comes to buying houses. And I know a lot of guys who, we buy 50 or 60 houses a year. That's a lot of work, right? And that took a long time to build that business to get to that point. And we have literally millions of dollars in expenses, right, with our staffing, our overhead, our contractors, materials, insurance, all the things that we pay. And there is a ton of risk. There's a ton of risk. We have pipes break. We had 3 ACs go out last month here in Texas. There's things that happen where we have an eviction right now, all this kind of stuff. But the opportunity that's here with EXP is, Connor, you've been in this less than a year and you have 70 agents on your team. And it's just amazing, right? And so we're pushing in just a couple of months to get to double digits of agents. You can't do that with real estate.
Right.
You can't do that with real estate, but at the same time, also without any financial investment or without any risk. And you touched on earlier, like, this is essentially like the broker model. And it is, but without the risk, right? And that's a big thing. And without the expenses and the overhead and the liability and having to do the training and all that kind of stuff, it is absolutely the best of both worlds. And really, I think for people who've never owned their own business, it may be a little bit more difficult for them to understand how incredible this is, because if you haven't been through those bumps and bruises and taken losses and just the whole startup of building a business. I know a man who buys and sells businesses, and that's all that he does. He buys businesses from Shark Tank, from the sharks on Shark Tank. He's waiting in the back to actually buy it from them, because they don't even buy a lot of those businesses.
Wow.
He's been there to buy them. And his number one piece of advice for entrepreneurs is never start a business.
Right.
Never start a business because one, it doesn't really make financial sense. You look at the failure rate of starting a new business, and there's so many businesses that you can buy undervalued. He doesn't know about the EXP model though. This is like a whole nother level where you're getting a business in a box. You can go out and build if you're an agent, you can get new listings. You can, not only does this model not going to slow you down, it's going to speed you up because it's a technology based company. It's very agile. It has the top of the line training, support, the systems, the software, everything you need to grow your realty side of your business. But at the same time, when you begin bringing on agents, I really, like, I'll be honest, I look at my agents as like their properties in a sense, just in terms of what they represent to me, because my real estate, my rental properties, my owner finance properties, those represent an asset to me, right? The only thing is I don't know whether or not they're going to produce cash flow for me or not. But when I'm bringing on agents, like, they're assets to me and they're team members, and we're treating them like that, right? Like, we're really, I know that you and I are on the same team, and you're in Dallas, I'm in Houston. That's something that we're doing, is really getting behind our agents so that they grow their business as well. And
Right.
It's like wildfire, man. It's just catching on like crazy from everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it helps. I mean, to have a high-powered entrepreneur that's been there and built a business like you have, that's scaled a business from the ground up. So when you look at, I mean, really, guys, there's not many options if you want to get in business. You got 4 options. You can join a network marketing company. You can build a business from the ground up. You can buy a business, or you can buy a franchise. That's pretty much it when you really break it down. If you don't have the money to buy a franchise, how are you going to join the business, right? Very, very risky to start a business. Those who follow me and follow Investor Army know my story very, very well. I went from 27 grand in my bank account to 6 months later, negative $65,000 in debt because I made every mistake in the book. As a real estate investor, y'all know what it's like to drop 10 grand on a mail campaign and not get a deal. Very, very risky. And then, like Brant's talking about, I had a house flood it was like a couple weeks ago. Tenants were out of town, water heater exploded, nothing stopped it, flooded the house, 2 years of cash flow, gone, even with insurance, right? So these things happen. And, when you really look at it, owning a rental portfolio, even owning a portfolio of notes, is not passive. Like, the closest you can get to actually being passive is just lending money. But if you don't have a lot of money to lend, and you need a lot of money to lend to create a decent passive income, for example, Chris Soignet, who you met, my sponsor in this business, he's making more in revenue share, he told me now, than off of his apartment complex deals that he's got across. He's in a bunch of syndications, and he's leveraged across with millions of his own dollars, and he's making more through his residual income stream with EXP than he is across all his apartment complexes with zero risk. It's crazy.
And then how long of a time period has Chris been with EXP?
Yeah, I believe Chris has been probably between 1.5 years and 2 years now. He's getting in. Yeah, unbelievable.
Can you just repeat that? I want to make sure that they heard that, because I don't think that it had that effect. Like, so right. He has millions of dollars invested in multiple apartment deals across the country.
Right.
Already in a year and a half, he's making more passive income with EXP than with all of his apartment deals invested millions of dollars with.
Right. It's incredible. And he doesn't have to have that money tied up. That's the thing that people don't understand, is that we're taking out a lot of loans as far as investors go to build a portfolio. And so a lot of people that want to build passive, they can't handle that weight. So it's not like HGTV when you watch it on TV, guys. Once you strike that signature on that dotted line, you have money on your shoulders. And a lot of people are doing it incorrect. They're personally guaranteeing these loans. It's tough. That's a lot of weight. So what if these new agents want to come in and build a team, and they don't have the ability to come up with the money to buy a franchise, to launch an office? It limits the average agent's ability to get into the marketplace. There's a barrier of entry, and it's a financial limitation for the normal agent. But now agents are able to come in, for example, here in Texas, it's a number of years before you get your broker's license. So say you're talking to an agent that's at a different company, and you talk to them and you're talking about them and their family and what their future goals are for their business. And you're like, John, what does the future hold for you? Do you just want to continue on selling houses basically as a commission-based employee and selling houses for active income? Or do you really want to be an entrepreneur and run a business someday and leverage a team of agents going out there and selling? Do you want to build a brokerage? And pretty much I've talked to a ton of agents lately across, I've bounced around the country. It's about 1 in 3, Brant, tell me they want to run a brokerage and have a team of agents. But they may be years away from getting their broker's license. Then they have to take all those classes. I think we have to take 900 hours in Texas, from what I understand. Someone may correct me later. And then they have to have all these extra costs. Then they have the liability. What happens to those agents that are out there acting unethically and doing things that are lacking in integrity? It reflects upon them. And so what we have to offer them is something so amazing, because as we all know, time is the most valuable thing we have. So if they're 2 years away from getting the broker's license, we can give them 2 years of their life back. We can take their future goals, their future dreams of being a team leader and building a team, and bring it to today's present moment. And all they have to do is change into EXP. And now they can start building a team today without any of that liability. So we can literally take years of what they're working towards away for their goals and bring it to the present moment. It's incredibly powerful. And you're just changing so many lives. So, Pat Hayes, you met Pat Hayes. We were at the EXP Leader event. A number of us that built larger teams went down to Phoenix, and he was on stage with his wife. They have an incredible family. And after 11 years of his wife having to work at corporate America, they were on stage crying. A lot of people were on stage crying that weekend because so many lives have been changed. And they're like, look, after 11 years, she can now quit her job and spend more time with her kids and be at home and do what she wants with her life. She's no longer caught in that corporate trap. And we're seeing this happen all across the country. And that's why we're actually hearing agents changing their life through this EXP model. It's crazy when you really start thinking about it.
It's crazy, man. And so I'm thinking about the statistic about 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Mm-hmm. So when I do my real estate events, I talk about that because there's a lot of new people coming into the business, and I go over that statistic that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And I share with them, stress, like don't become a statistic, but it doesn't have to be that way. Even in investing, it doesn't have to be that way, that 9 out of 10 investors fail to reach their goals. But that's the way it unfortunately shakes out, right? Like I would say that they probably 9 out of 10 don't have good coaching, support, mentoring, the right model and the fundamentals to follow. But that's another story. When we look at EXP, I don't know if there's a failure rate at all, because there's essentially no risk. You look at the upside, which is amazing, and I know we can't really disclose too many numbers what people are making monthly, but it's amazing. And just do the math. If you showed on your phone and you've got 70 agents on your team, I'll let people just kind of do the math. But you look at the success rate, you look at other opportunities, look at how many brokers fail with the broker model. So this opportunity, it's plug and play, and it's really, it's a risk-free, it is a absolutely risk-free, essentially, financially, like there's no financial commitment to
right.
go into it. And then the upside is really what you want to make of it. We're seeing people come into EXP, into this business model, and absolutely crush it. Yeah. And I'll tell you another thing that's really just, it's validation. Well, one of the things that was validation for me when I first started doing my research, when you start looking at the top brokers, the number one agents from Keller Williams in consecutive years have all come to EXP, like you raise your eyebrows, you're like, I need to take note of that. And then all the other brokerages, their top agents and brokers are coming here. But then also for me, it was even more validation when I'm seeing some very high-powered elite investors come to EXP, some of which, like yourself, you didn't even have a license. My license was deactivated, and I didn't understand that at first when you mentioned that. And I was like, now I understand, and now I understand why elite investors, extremely successful business owners, are coming to EXP, because it's a business model that's never been created before, right? Like there was never an Amazon before there was an Amazon, or an Uber before there was an Uber. And that's the way I look at this. And that's why when we started this thing, I said I was blindsided. Like I was completely blindsided, didn't really have the time or desire to start another business, and luckily this hasn't really been like starting a business. It's just been like plugging into a business, really plugging into it. But I still wasn't expecting that. It was just like, man, if when I teach investors about real estate, you know, we teach them the formula, the numbers, the buying criteria, what we're looking at, and I tell them, I say, if you're a real estate entrepreneur, when the numbers make sense, you have to do the deal, right? Or you have to ask yourself, am I really a real estate entrepreneur? If you're saying no to deals when the numbers make sense. And so for me as an entrepreneur, that's why I just laid it out on the table. You know, when you say you meet with agents, and we do that, we take pen to pad. And I'm meeting with agents and they're saying, well, I'm happy, I'm here and here. Well, I'm like, let's have a business conversation about where you're at, you know, what you're doing and what this is. And that's what I did. I just put pen to paper, got an Excel spreadsheet out, and I'm like, how can I not do this? And the Excel spreadsheet is mind blowing when you really look at it, man.
I can't tell you, probably close to 100 different models, all the big box brands, different little boutique brokerage models. So right now, I'm up in New Jersey. I flew into the northeast part of the country. I was in New York, then I went to Connecticut, then to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Virginia, North Carolina. Now I'm going back through, meeting with our team leaders up here. So they've taken off the geographical restrictive handcuffs. Now we can build teams all across the country. And it's just incredible when you start thinking about it. But I personally had always wanted to run a team. I always, like, guys, think about who doesn't want to have a team of agents? But I was years away and a lot of effort before I could even get to that point. So I was a busy individual. And, you know, what's been really cool for me is you played sports, I played sports. A lot of people that go into entrepreneurship had an athletic background. They had a team mentality, and we jump into the world of business. And when you start a business, it can be lonely. You're all on your own. You're the only one up at night. You know, all the risk is on you. No one's helping. And now it's exciting. Look what we're doing. Brant and I are a team now. You know, I got all these different individuals we're working with, and it's exciting because everybody's winning together. And so we're all working together to grow this thing. And I truly, sincerely, in my heart, believe it's going to be the biggest company on the planet. That's just my opinion, shared by a lot of individuals. I mean, they want to go worldwide with this thing eventually. Is from down the road, we can already build teams in Canada. So for $85 a month, some of y'all know Ian Flanagan from our other podcast. Brant knows him. He's on our team. Well, actually, I'm on his team, but he's got a team that operates in Canada now for $85 a month. So let's look at the fees here to join the company, because you know, I think it's going to blow their mind. It's just a $150 sign-up fee, and that counts your first month sign-up fee, and it's $85 a month. And they're going to give you incredible training and give you incredible lead generation platforms. And the reason why they're giving us so much support and so much help, guys, is because you got to look at it. When you look at these other big franchise models that came before us with brick and mortar, they have a lot of overhead. Some of them have between $500 million to $1 billion a year in costs that we don't have. And so if you have all that extra money that you can wipe off the balance sheet at a franchise operation, where does that money go? It goes to the company and the franchise owner. But we're agent focused, agent centric. So they can spend more on each agent. They have more money in the account to spend more on each agent. So they're giving us commissions, Inc. They're giving us KV Core. They're giving us Making It Great. They're giving us live training in the cloud. They're giving us 200 paid employees to help us leverage the growth of our business, because the better agents they make us, the better we can serve the community. We can do better for the community, help sell more houses, and more profit goes back to the company. So it's all a circular business model. I guess you could say it all intertwines, and it's just amazing when you really start looking at it. And then it comes down to all these different brokers I've been meeting. I've done the same thing. I simply challenge them, because the biggest issue, Brant, that people are not slowing down to look at this was why I didn't look at it, because I blew it off for a year. And it's one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made, probably the biggest mistake I ever made, is ego and bias. Because when an agent is at a current brokerage model, where they're at right now, they chose to be there. That was an individual choice on their own. They said, I'm going to be at this brokerage model. So for you to come up to them and say, hey, you got to look at this other model, it's better, I'll prove it to you, you're basically telling them that they're wrong. And instantaneously, nobody wants to be told they're wrong. So they're going to push it away. Plus, when people are busy and you throw a shiny object on their plate, what happens? Anxiety picks up, and they want to push it away as fast as possible, because they already got too many things on their plate in the first place. So if you're watching this right now, guys, I beg you, slow down for yourself, your future, and your family, and sit down with Brant and I so we can run the math, because math doesn't lie. We want to take feelings and emotion out of it, take all the bias and ego, and let's just look at math on paper. Because I open challenge everyone that watches this, show me that you have a better business model for the agent's success, and I'll move over to your company, because it hasn't happened yet. I can't find any model that, not only that, I haven't found anyone that's remotely close as far as when I look at my time, energy, resources, and risk leverage to get the return on investment with my time and energy that I'm seeing. And so, yeah, it's just a really remarkable company. Super excited where it's going. And yeah, it's happening, guys. It's happening right now, live time.
Yeah.
Don't just hear the buzz around town. And also, guys, a lot of you who are at other brokerage models, you have to understand where you're getting your information. There's incredible things I've heard from some of these other agents when I talk to them about things that are being said about EXP. And I'm like, where did you even get this? And they're like, well, my broker said it. I'm like, okay, let's just step back and retract a little bit. So the individual that makes money off you right now is taking a 50-50 cut of your leads that he promised he would get to you. And now you're the one generating your own leads and he's still getting 50-50. He's telling you something about a company that he knows nothing about, trying to keep you there. Do you think he's going to say anything good, right? Of course he's not. So like if you're out there with your girlfriend and another guy comes up and starts talking to her and then he walks away, you're not going to go say good things about them, are you? Of course not. These are your competitors. So guys, you need to talk to someone who's experienced what was happening at EXP, someone who's changed their life through it with this model, and listen to them unobjectively, without bias, without skepticism, because this could change your life too. And if you're taking your information from a competitor, man, it's not very smart as far as a business intelligence to make a decision going forward. At least that's my take on, my opinion on it.
Yeah, man. I agree. Like for any of you out there who are agents, or maybe you're a real estate investor and you've thought about getting your license, or it's just something you know like you're more open to considering right now. Just reach out to myself, reach out to Connor. Connor's going to be, so at the time of this recording, next week you're going to be here in Houston. Next week you're coming to speak at our ReiAction event, and we're going to block out some time also the following Thursday. We've got a lot of agents who want to meet with us, talk to us, answer questions. There's no sales pitch. There's nothing. Connor and I, we don't have anything to sell. It's not anything like that. This is just a business decision for you. That the topic has come up before. Like, it sounds like MLM. It sounds like multi-level marketing kind of thing. And I'm like, look, here's the thing. I don't make a penny. Connor doesn't make a penny. Nobody makes a dime in this company unless you're an agent selling a house, right? So if that's the whole entire, this is built just like the entire brokerage model. The only thing is, guys, when you're going out and selling houses, your team members are getting paid, not just some broker, not some franchise owner. That we're real, and that's why it's like the synergy with this company and the opportunity is so incredible, because we're everybody, as when Connor's selling houses, our team is winning. Everybody's profiting from that. And so that's why it's a synergy like I've never seen before. That's why it's on fire. That's why you said you believe it's going to be the biggest company in the world. And I agree, because if it took Keller Williams 20 plus years to get to 10,000 agents, and we've done that in less than 10 years, there's proof, right? It's not just
we don't have to
falsely projecting, right? There's like we're tracking for that. And so, and then there's a reason. It's in a model like I've never seen, like Connor's never seen before, not just in real estate, but in any business model across any industry. So guys, if you want to talk, you want to schedule a call, just reach out. You know where to find us. You know where to find me. You know where you can find Connor online. Just reach out, schedule a time. We'd love to talk to you and just really help you find out if it makes sense for you. If this is really like Connor and I both did, like we looked at it, just very objectively, is this going to help me, create the life, the business, the cash flow, et cetera, that I really desire. And for us, it checked all those boxes, and that's why we're here. And if you want to figure out if it makes sense for you, then we'd love to sit down, talk with you, schedule a call, whatever it may be.
Right. Yeah. And there's so many things that we didn't go over that we can explain to you when we sit down. I mean, so y'all, if you run small brokerages, you can come over and maintain your branding. You can just partner with the EXP Realty, so you don't have to give up your branding and your name that you've been building for so long. A lot of you team leaders and small boutique brokerages, everybody wants to grow a national company. Because what's that old saying? If you're successful in your local market, you become a millionaire. If you're successful nationally, you can become a multimillionaire. If you're successful globally, you become a billionaire. So everybody understands expanding across markets. But if you look at what I just did in 8 months to go into what I think when they fully onboard, we're now in 15 states. I have a team. Think about that. For $85 a month, now I run a team that operates in 15 states where those agents who go out and sell houses, we're getting up close to 100 agents, should be there, who knows, not too long. So if I was to do this with other brokerage models, what they have is a multi-cap model. So we have a one cap that we pay into the company $16,000. At some of these other models I looked at, if I was to go into 14, 15 states, I would have to pay that $16,000 cap every single state that I went into. Also, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars. Also, some of these other companies, they have an accelerated cap, meaning if I was to build a team in Hawaii or Canada or some parts of California where the average sales price accelerates and goes higher, the cap rises with it. Our state's static at 16, so we have one cap of 16,000 and it never accelerates. So for those of you who are team leaders, that's incredibly beneficial to you. And so we no longer have to take time off our business, have that opportunity cost loss of traveling out to other markets, figuring out where we want to hold a brick and mortar lease, then taking the risk of signing that lease for hundreds of thousands of dollars of long-term liabilities on our credit. And then on top of that, we have to buy the franchise. Guys, we're one brokerage model, no franchises, no brick and mortar, unless you choose to, which a lot of EXP teams still choose to have a brick and mortar, just other brokerage models don't have the cloud-based brokerage. So yeah, there's just so many reasons we could go on and on about why I love this company, why I think it's just such an incredible opportunity. But if you want to sit down with us, reach out to Brant. We'll sit down, especially if I'm in Houston. And guys, I really think it's worth 30 to 60 minutes of your time because, I mean, if you're watching this and you made it to this point of the podcast, you're already serious about what you're doing. But if you're not willing to take 30 to 60 minutes out of your life to sit down to take a look at the fastest growing real estate brokerage in U.S. history, the first 3 income stream cloud-based brokerage is changing the way agents are being compensated and changing lifestyle across the country, you just simply put are not serious about your business and your future, and you really don't deserve the opportunity is kind of how I see it. So reach out to us, guys. Let's sit down. Let's talk about what this can do for you.
Yep. All right, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Awesome.
Well, take care. Thanks for watching. Reach out. Give us a call. Let's talk. See if it makes sense for you.
Hi, guys.
Later.